Welcome to the 1958 Lawyer, the show for attorneys who know the old model isn't working anymore. The billable hour, the 12-hour day, the expensive office no one visits. Your hosts Ron Boxstaller and Clint Ind are here to question all of that and more by exploring smarter, healthier, more flexible ways to run a law firm. No more burnout, no more outdated expectations, just real conversations with attorneys who are proving there's a better way. If you're ready to build a law firm that's profitable and livable, you're in the right place. Now here are your hosts, Ron and Clinton.
All right, welcome to the 1958 Lawyer, where we talk to business experts and attorneys with firsthand knowledge and the perils and challenges of running a law firm. I'm your co-host and founder of Amada, Ron Boxstaller, along with my co-host and business partner, Clint Ind. Clint, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Ron. Very excited about today's show. Lots of interesting topics to discuss. The weather's nice. No one yelled at me this morning. Kids got off to school well, so I think it's a good start to the day.
Well, let's start. You're just getting back from Australia. You spent 10 days out in Australia. Is your sleep back to normal at this point in time? It's been a couple of days.
I was a bit smug on Sunday. We got back Saturday afternoon. I was smug on Sunday. I thought, I got this kicked. It's no big deal. And then I didn't sleep Sunday night. So I'm not sure. I'm cautiously optimistic that we're past it, but we'll see. We'll see how we go.
Well, welcome back to the States. It's good to have you.
Yeah, good to be back.
Today, we want to focus. Clint and I are going to talk a little bit about AI. Clinton's been running the Amada support services now for the past year and a half now, and we've rolled out some AI tools to some of our clients. We've been working with Lexis AI. And Clint, you've done a ton of work. You've been practicing law for 20 years, so you come with a lot of experience. Let's kind of roll it over to what you're seeing and how do you think people or attorneys should start to embrace or not embrace some of the technologies that are out there today?
Yeah, I think there's so many new technologies. It's such a fascinating thing right now. And I was telling you yesterday, Ron, I mean, I go to my LinkedIn feed and every 2 out of every 3 posts that I see, and that's obviously a function of the algorithm because that's what I'm interested in right now, but 2 out of 3 posts that are up on my LinkedIn feed are some new AI product or some person talking about the new AI product. This morning, I just got on the train and I don't know, I went through about 20 posts, 10 to 15 were related to AI in the law industry, in the legal industry. A solid amount of those were that new Anthropic's new plugin that has been so prevalent. Yeah.
While the 10 days you were in Australia, the world changed, right? Anthropic comes out with co-work. They come out with a legal plugin. Yeah. Then they come out with a financial plugin, and the markets erase, 300 billion of stock market value.
It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Crazy what effect it's having and how fast it's having. But now let's talk about the applications. Now, and I'll tell you, we'll talk about this, but I jumped into Anthropic because I use Claude AI. And so I have been using that plugin to test it out and just curious what it can do. So we'll get to that in a moment, but we'll put a pin in that. Let's talk about what you're seeing.
There's so much out there. You can't ignore it, right? And so what I'm seeing is a lot of startups. If I had to deduce it to one thing, I have inquired with a lot of the feed, a lot of the advertisements I get on my feed. So I'm one of those guys that books a demo, which is probably why my feed is so full of AI stuff. But I'm the guy who books the demo, and it's fascinating to see the response, right? Because behind every flashy AI product is still people, right? It's still a salesperson. Yep. It's still a startup. And, for every one of those startups that has a solid quality product, there's probably at least one or two that has taken that Oracle approach, which is let's just put a product out there and let's get the sales, and then we'll deliver after we've gotten enough sales to
figure out how to make it work.
Exactly. So that's what you see when you book a demo, right? You get sometimes you get a really great product and it looks really good, but when you really try to apply it to a case or the practice or some greater larger practice, you really start to see some of the deficiencies. And it's not to say that the product isn't good. I think, and it's not to say that you should be ignoring AI at all. I mean, you can't ignore AI in this world, but I think you really have to be careful these days about what exactly you're getting and what you're looking into, and who you're going to be partnering with if you start subscribing to some kind of a, an API or just a use of some tool that you're going to be uploading documents to.
So, Clinton, the biggest thing I'm hearing when I'm talking to a lot of the solo small firms is privacy. They don't want to get sanctioned. I know you've got a strong opinion on these things. So let's talk about the sanctioned issue. And I don't want to put something out there and go to a judge and there's a citation that's not real, the
Yeah.
hallucination. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, and we just had a conversation, and I asked, you said you uploaded a spreadsheet, and my first instinct was to ask you, don't you want to go and check every freaking element of that spreadsheet that came back, right? Because what's drilled into us, obviously, and everybody who's listening knows this, is that it all comes down to our licenses, right?
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what tool you use or who you use, if you're going to submit it to the court or you're going to upload it to a vendor, it comes down, it's on us, right? It's our licenses and it's our malpractice that comes into play. So the reliance on some of these tools, I think, is, while it's necessary, it's also a difficult thing to overcome when you're talking about lawyers, using some of these tools to streamline their practices. And obviously, the biggest thing we see and the most prevalent issue of the last couple of years has been what you said, those hallucinations. You know, it's one thing. It looks great. I mean, you use AI and you plug it into either it's ChatGPT or whatever it is, a Gemini, and it's going to spit you out a brief that looks good with hallucinated cases, likely, right? And the thing about it is, as we've always discussed, is you have to site check. You have to take the extra step, and you have to go back and make sure that the case exists in the first place. And even if the case exists, that the law that it's citing and the preposition that it's citing to in your brief actually exists, right?
Right.
There's so many different layers. So I don't know how to get to the point, and I'm not sure if we'll ever get to the point. I mean, we will at some point in time, but right now I see the biggest obstacle as being that issue, right? Needing to make sure that everything is perfect, right? Everything is
Yeah.
actually exists and is good. And that is, I think that's kind of a thing that's difficult for lawyers to overcome, because you want to use it and you want to streamline, you want to make it faster.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got to go back and site check it all anyway and read the cases anyway, then why wouldn't you just go with the old thing that we know, which is find the cases ourselves and plug them in ourselves? Right? Now I
So,
do think, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I
Sorry.
mean, I'm just like, okay, well, let's stop right there because we've talked about that and you brought up diligence. And so if I got a 5 hours of work and I'm going to use AI it's like finding the needle in the haystack. I'm going to get the basic work. Give me some basic cases. And yeah, I got to do diligence. I got to go do some research to make sure those are valid and they work.
Yeah.
But isn't that quicker? Doesn't that save you time versus having to go look up the cases or find the cases in LexisNexis or Westlaw or
Yeah,
whatever tool?
I think it is. I think it's so much quicker. And the thing that I see that people can't ignore, that really is faster, is that first draft. You cannot ignore the fact that I can put in a 2 to 3 paragraph statement of the jurisdiction I'm in, a little quick statement of the facts, and a the some of the maybe some of the claims that we want to bring, and I can plug that in to Lexis AI, which I've done many times for our clients, and I can get 6 to 8 page complaint perfectly done, right? I say I'm in Cook County. I got the caption pretty much drafted. Everyone uses their own cut and paste caption, so that's not a big deal. But the jurisdictional statement is properly cited and properly stated. The venue statement is properly stated with the correct citation. And you go from what typically would be, at least for me anyway, I mean, some more efficient lawyers out there probably, but if I'm looking at a blank page and I got to put together a 4 or 5 count complaint for whatever issue, it's an easy 5 hours probably, if you really want to make sure it's good and get a good first draft. Now I can type in 3 paragraphs of of
Sure.
facts, and it'll give me 6 to 8 pages in about 3 minutes. And that is crucial for me, and I think for a lot of attorneys, at least a lot of the people I speak with. It's starting from 6 to 8 pages of a solid draft just takes away 4 of the 5 hours of initial work that you would otherwise be putting into a into a
And,
into a
and,
case.
and so we're not using AI to practice law. We're
No.
using AI to make it more efficient to do some of the grunt work,
Yeah.
the
That
work
is
that
exactly
you
right.
could have had a paralegal could have been doing. You don't need to be an attorney to do that.
Right, right. You don't really, yeah, that's right. And you should probably think that's actually a great analogy I hadn't thought of before. I mean, you should think of the AI, whether it's coming from Lexis or Westlaw or Harvey or any one of these other startups that are out there. It's work that's given to you by an assistant, right? A paralegal, a legal
Right.
admin, and you would never take that as a lawyer. You would never take that and just say, okay, looks good, submit it to the court. And just like with the hallucinations, there's a plenty of sanctions reports out there from ARDCs all over the country about, well, I just relied on my first year associate or I just relied on my
Right.
paralegal, right? It's the same thing. You got to check it and you got to do your diligence, to your point.
So great. So we're practicing law. We're looking at to save time. It is effective in doing that to some level, but you still got to do diligence. You still got to check it. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's replacing maybe some of that staff function. Well, we could talk a little about that because we have paralegals and admins on our team that we support over 800 law firms. So let's.
yeah.
I mean, I haven't noticed a drop in our work. So are we? I know you and your team are using Lexis AI, and are we seeing a drop in hours billed, or are we seeing an increase?
No, if anything, we're seeing an increase because there's so much question out there. I mean, obviously, we're advertising that we're using the AI and we're good at it and we know how to do it, but and it's the same thing except we're just now more efficient, right? And now because our paralegals can use a quality tool like the Lexis AI Protege product to produce something for our clients, it's more in demand at this point in time. But it always, like you said, it always just comes back to that caveat of diligence. And I don't think it's an interesting thing because, I think most attorneys, because there's been such a history of people getting sanctioned for relying on paralegal or first year associate work, right? So they know when they get anything from anyone that's not themselves, they have to check it.
Yeah.
So it's an easy thing to like, oh, I'm getting this from the paralegal. I'm gonna quality check it. For some reason, there's this reliance on the AI, and I don't really understand that. And it's just something that we can't afford to give up at this point in time.
Let's talk. I mean, this show is all about the business of law, things that we focus on. And I could talk to, we've been using it for marketing for a little over a year, just really laying into Ella, which is a marketing product that's really specific to that. And it's been amazing that the time it saved us, quite frankly, the money it saved us, from five to
Yeah,
$600 for an article, a blog that we were having written to we're paying Ella $500 a month and unlimited. We feed in what we want to say and it makes it even better. And it's stuff we can publish and we put more things out there quicker. So the
yeah,
fact that you could practice and run a business more effectively by using the tools that are available to you today, and those tools are just getting better.
yeah,
I think that's one of the things I really want to start meeting with some of our clients about and just talking to. You could be using this and get rid of that up and down the curve or the what's that, the wave when you got clients coming in, you're busy, and then it drops down, you got no work. And you level that out by doing consistent marketing, by using AI to enhance your marketing and saving yourself a lot of money.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I really think that is you really hit it on the head there because the difficult part when you're practicing is okay, I've got this flow of cases and billable hours and it's going crazy. And then while you've got that flow, you're not doing the marketing, right? So I really
Yeah.
do feel like, one of the biggest advantages that a lot of the AI products that I'm seeing that are directed towards attorneys are not really focusing on. And that really is that marketing piece that can be happening in the background while you're flowing with cases and billable hours.
When
It has to be there. You have to use it for that
I got a
product.
great example for you. I just used this last week. We're interviewing for a mid-level marketing person,
Yeah.
and it's a three interview process. So I went into Ella AI, and I said, "Look, here's the job description. I want to make sure that we're asking different questions. I want to have a better structured interview process. Lay out how we would do that." And Ella, breaks down three different levels of interview questions for each group, from HR interview to the CMO's interview and to the myself doing an interview, and then a scorecard to score it. So now you got more consistency amongst 3 interviews and you're all asking different questions.
Yeah.
I thought I knocked that. It took maybe 15 minutes. I was able to put that together, and then I could just duplicate it for several other jobs that we're interviewing for.
Yeah.
And then share it with the rest of the team and say, here, let's go through this. Let's use this as our process to ask questions.
Yeah. But it's the same thing we're talking about. Like you get that start and then you share it with the team and then you do the diligence, right? The team comes together and we work through it and we figure it out. Everyone should be doing that process still. Hey, Ron, do you feel guilty about yelling at your AIs when
No,
they
not
come
at
back
all.
with crap? I do. I feel guilty about it. Like, what is this? This is ridiculous. But then I feel like I'm talking to a real person and I got to get over that. Yeah.
My wife keeps asking, why do you say she? How do you know it's not a he? I'm like,
Right.
quite sure it's a she.
Right.
I think, yeah, you can talk. You can get a little too close, maybe, because you think you're just you have a long conversation with your chatbot, especially, like we did. We spun up our Armada chatbot. So it writes like I want to write.
Yeah.
So the training took us a few months to get it right, but to get it on spot. But now it's great.
I suppose that feels like if you train your chatbot right to do it the way you want to do it personally, then you're just yelling at yourself when they screw it up, right?
Exactly. Like, what are you thinking about? It took me, by the way, we got to get Keith, the founder of Atomic Elevator, the company that spun up Ella AI. We need to get him on the show.
That'd be great.
Yeah, he's willing to come on the show. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's done really, really well. So I'll be reaching out to him this week to get him on the show. But let's just talk about his product a little bit more. I mean, yeah, I think he's probably using a ChatGPT as his backbone, but it's also an enclosed environment, which that's the other thing we need to talk about is security. How do I know that I don't want my clients' documents to get out there? I don't want all of our stuff necessarily to get out there, but what they spun up was a secure sandbox for me to play in.
Right. Yeah. Which is crazy. It just kind of goes back to what we were talking about before when we started this, which is, how do you know these are startups, right? And you might there might be a LinkedIn post that says, put your medical records in here, PI attorneys, and we'll summarize and evaluate, and it's all HIPAA compliant. But that's all they say. It's all HIPAA compliant. How do you know? How do you really know? Yeah.
Well, it's like it's like you tell your kids, anything you're putting out there is always going to be out there.
Yeah.
So, what is the secure? So I guess we got to make sure it is secure if we're going to put some client document in there, because you got to protect those client documents. We get that. Got to keep security. I do believe, I'm confident that they are able to do that at this point in time, any more than if I'm putting a document on SharePoint or Box or whatever repository I'm using.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm believing that they're telling me it's secure. So what's the difference if, this is telling me it's secure also?
Right.
I mean, they're using the same technologies.
Yeah, you would think so, right? And you would hope not, but just going back to what we originally talked about, which is it all coming back to the individual attorney's license, and there's a solid level of paranoia. And I remember when Dropbox first came out, and everyone was like, "Well, can we use it?" Right? And then I don't know, right? It's all this thing that's out in the ether. Can we use it? And it was and then you see the 28-point encryption key and all of the bits and pieces, and it gives a mind of security. But it'll take a little bit, I think, for people to really get comfortable, for attorneys to really get comfortable with knowing that everything they put out is secure.
So you're getting, I don't know, 15 emails a day about some kind of offshore paralegal, some kind of offshore service, some kind of AI service. How do you get comfortable with they have the securities in place that you're not going to jeopardize your client's information or do something with it that you shouldn't be done?
Yeah, what I've been doing, it really just going back to that diligence factor in sourcing, who we're going to be using. In everything you do, there has to be a diligence factor, and that really is what it comes down to. Is I'm talking to the people who are running the company. I'm asking them about their security protocols. I'm asking them to explain it to me. As soon as you talk to somebody about the need to keep something secure and the explanation and asking for the explanation of how they do that, and they can't answer you, well, there's your answer, right? So, but you have to ask the questions. You have to ask the questions.
It's so funny. So I use Claude quite a bit, Anthropic's Claude, which I think has made huge strides. We just kind of talked about it. the last 2 weeks of some of their introductions, and I was questioning some of our insurance because I was talking to a new attorney getting ready to join. He's spinning up his own law firm after being at a CPA firm for 12 years. And I said, or he asked some questions about insurance. I'm going to I took all of our insurance documents for 2026 and I threw them into Claude and said, Claude, give me a summary. What do we have here? Right. And really focused on, I think E&O was the big thing because we're, insuring our paralegals. We're insuring everyone that does work for our clients.
Yeah.
How are you seeing that with some of these offshore companies? I mean, we're all getting all the luck. I can get a paralegal for $5.
Yeah.
Are they insured?
Yeah. I mean, the way it comes down to, I think, especially when you get somebody who's in the illegal industry, whether they're offshore or they're not, everyone's looking for indemnification, right? And everyone's looking for it, right? And ultimately, when we give our paralegal to, or not give, when we have our paralegals work with one of our attorneys, I mean, very explicitly say, this is ultimately on you, right? You're using our paralegals, but it's your license, it's your product that's going to be submitted to the court. You have to do your diligence. You have to check it up. And so I think what I'm seeing right now is that's pretty much the same with anyone we're using, like offshore or anything like that, and which is fine, which is probably the way it should be. Except when you come to the notion of, like we said, putting client documents or sending them offshore somewhere, you obviously have to go that extra step and make sure that things there are being done. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, it's on the attorney, and you have to do your diligence, and you have to make sure that you're comfortable.
Okay. What other kind of values you've been in-house, you've been at a bigger a law firm, you've had your own practice, so you've been a solo. What other uses are you seeing that AI is going to help you as you're running your solo practice?
I'm really interested. I think I'm really interested in how the APIs and the plugins into the various programs we use are going to help streamline the back end running of the firm. I think the focus for most attorneys to this point in time, and really the big way I've been using it is, like going to Lexis and getting, saving myself 4 hours by putting up an 8-page complaint in 3 minutes with a 3-paragraph fact pattern. But there's going to be, I think, a real value in using the plugins to pull dates from emails from court clerks, and automatically calendar them, right? There's going to be real value in, setting automatic reminders for discovery deadlines, right? Just kind of like keeping track of those daily reminders, those weekly reminders that exist throughout the course of a case that allow you to not have to spend mental bandwidth on that thing. That's what I'm really most interested in, I think, is figuring out, how that is going to plug into the existing framework. And the other thing is that, as we already discussed, the marketing piece of it, being able to have a fully functioning AI related marketing team on the back end so that you don't have to worry about your pipeline is, I think that's going to be huge, absolutely huge.
I also see it having like someone like you you're always doing the research, you're always seeing what's out there, having that resource. If I'm out there practicing on my own or a small firm, I don't have time to keep up with the technology. It's changing so quick.
So quick.
How do I keep up with what's going on? I know that you're spending a few hours a day just studying, hey, where are we at? What's going on? What can I tell our clients? That to me is just a huge value that we got to maybe push a little bit more because it's really hard to keep up with everything that's happening. And implement it into your practice.
Oh, for sure. No, and 2 to 3 hours a day, like you said, is not even enough. There's always a new product. I mean, people can spin up a website, in minutes. You can spin up all of these. You spin up a marketing machine in no time at all. And I think there's a lot of that happening right now, and you got to filter through it. It takes a long time.
We've seen while you were in Australia, Westlaw, LegalZoom, a few others, their stock prices tanked like 30-40% when Anthropic came out with their legal plugin.
Yeah.
Is there still going to be a home for some of these softwares, or are they going to be obsolete?
No, I think they will. I mean, there'll be a couple of things. One of the things that I've always leaned on with like Westlaw and Lexis is, I mean, they have the repository of cases,
Mhm.
and that is why they can confidently say that they're probably not good. It's likely, very highly likely, not going to hallucinate on you because they're actually looking through and they've
There.
tailored their searches to make sure they're leaning on and pulling from the repository of cases. It's been a while since I was on the Harvey website, but maybe 6 months ago, there was still, the 50 states statutes and case law was still coming.
Okay.
6 months ago, but Lexis and Westlaw and those ones who've been relied on, they have that. Everyone knows they've had that for decades, right? So that exists. The thing about it is, though, that's one piece. So that's easy to rely on right now, and it's easy to to feel confident in what you're doing and use of. But you know, cases and statutes are all public knowledge, right? I mean, it won't take startups a lot of time to make a repository and put them in
Right.
a rag and get them available just like everybody else has. So what's really going to come down to is their ability to innovate within the AI and make sure that there's constant improvement. Because the notion of being able to just it won't be enough. Like it's a huge value right now, obviously, to go in and give you 3 paragraphs and get a complaint or give your fact pattern or you upload your complaint and get discovery posted. That's all well and good, but everyone's going to be able to do that soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I went to Claude and I said, Claude, what are some of the tools that I can, if I'm running a small law firm, that how's it going to help me? And Claude came back with some basic, look, you still got to practice law. So it's not going to help you practice law, but it is going to help you with speed and efficiency and tasks like contract review, legal research. Contract review, we brought up a couple of our insurance policies I threw in and got a summary that I could
Yeah.
understand. We were just before the show, we were talking about Excel spreadsheets. We were talking about budgeting and throwing in a budget and saying, look at it and see if there's any problems. Tell me the mistakes. And boom, it kicks it out and improves the spreadsheets so they're more usable.
Yeah.
Those things we never had before. We kind of relied on and, we made mistakes. It is amazing to me how fast and how easy it is that they can do these things.
Yeah.
Document organization, legal education, preliminary analysis of documents, identifying legal issues in contracts and documents before they go to a lawyer. That's the last point I think we should probably hit on is the consumer. How's the consumer using AI? Because it's not like this is something that's only business corporations are getting.
No.
Everyone in the world has access to AI.
Right.
And I'm going to go get a divorce. I'm going to be using AI before I even talk to someone.
Yeah. Well,
So
the example I think of, I was on a CLE a little while ago, and it was an older CLE, but it was talking about AI. So it was maybe a year old, but it was talking about AI. And one of the examples they gave was, it's no longer the point where a client's going to send you a contract and say, review this. And, if it's a 5-page contract, maybe you would spend 5 hours on it, right? And you get carte blanche in reviewing, and it's on you to review it. These days, what's happening is your client is sending you the contract with the red lines that have been generated by the AI and said, just review the red lines, right? So your 5 billable hours turns into a half, a 0.5, or maybe a 1.0 billable hour, which I think is fantastic as long as you can rely on the red lines. And
well, as long as you got enough work, I mean, we're all here to make some money.
yeah, yeah. But I think efficiency has always been the goal for everybody, right? I mean, no one likes to be that law firm, whether you're a large law firm or a small law firm. No one wants to be that one that's known for inefficiency or billing for inefficiency, right? It doesn't
Right.
work. It's a rapid way to losing business.
That's a great point. So I think what we're coming to the conclusion is we're going to have to use it, embrace it at some level. We still need to practice law. So that don't change. And I haven't noticed any changing in law firm billable hours are still growing. Your revenues are still growing. But I just think there's more opportunities.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to adjust your practice. So if you're the attorney, which Len, I got to go back to Len, probate attorney who cut and paste. He literally would cut, paste, and send it to Cindy and say, Cindy, type this up. That practice, I think that practice has gone away with the secretary pool. They're all gone. Those things change, and we're seeing the change happen faster and faster in law, and you got to be able to keep up with it. Which a plugged in Omada, this is why you want to partner with Omada, because we're helping you keep up with the practice of law, the business as it's changing. Let's be in the forefront ahead of it all, so that you can have a successful practice without the stress.
Yeah, 100%. You need people. Ultimately, what you've always needed is help sifting through the crap, right? You just need help sifting through the crap, and that's what we do.
I was we'll cut this off. As I was talking to, like when I was telling him, I talked to an attorney last week. I said, look, we're your COO.
Yeah.
We're going to be your chief operating officer for a solo practitioner. You tell us what you're looking at, what you're thinking, or we're just going to come to you with ideas to help you improve your practice. And it's part of the program.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sure. This is why you want to be partnering with the Omada. Last words, Clinton, anything you want to add, leave them with?
Diligence, everyone. It's the theme of the day, probably. I wasn't expecting it to be, but the thing about it all is it's all great. Make sure you're covering your bases, but use it. You have to use it. And you get to the point where covering your bases. I mean, we will always cover our bases. Just don't forget to. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Ron Boxer, my partner, Clint Ind. We're at Omada, providing the back office support for small law firms. We have fractional support services. We have flexible office space options. Practice smart. Spend money when you make money, and when revenues drop your expenses. You need flexibility, and in today's world, you really need flexibility in running a law firm. So, thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week. Our guest is actually going to be an employment lawyer coming up next week. So we'll got an exciting show coming up next week. So be sure to tune in. Thanks,
Excited
everyone.
about that one. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the 1958 Lawyer. If you like the show, tell a friend, and please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to hear more about Ron, Clinton, or Omada, go to amataoffices.com. That's amataoffices.com. All the links are also in the show notes.